Shadow of the Erdtree has got to be my favourite DLC ever. There is a reason I have played 200 hours before it's even been released. With that in mind, I am planning on doing daily videos covering such a wide variety of topics, including today's important things I wish I knew before playing Shadow of the Erdtree. I have got so much content I want to share with you all, from the much requested The Things You Missed series, to secrets, hidden interactions, build guides, and of course tips and tricks like this video here. As I say, I'll be uploading daily videos for the next month or so, all whilst keeping it as spoiler light as possible, making it super friendly for new players and those who would just like a nudge in the right direction while still going in pretty much blind. So if that sounds good to you, please make sure you subscribe to the channel, and also if you're enjoying this content, please do like the video and leave a comment, because it's the best way to let me know what you want and what I can do to make even better content for you in the future. And with that, let's get into tip number 1 to help you prepare even better for the Shadow of the Erdtree. The first thing you want to do is head into your settings and turn on a few of the new features. These aren't enabled by default, at least they weren't for me. And specifically what I'm talking about is head into display and make sure you have ticked mark new items and show recent items tab. Now initially you may hate me for suggesting that you do this, because for veterans it can be very confusing. However, trust me, when you get used to it, having this tab and having this new check mark is really valuable. It can save you a lot of time, and it can help you stop forgetting about new items that you've collected. Whether it's a consumable, something lore-based, a new weapon, there are so many things to collect in Elden Ring, which means there are so many things to forget about. And the new items checkmark, along with the show recent items tab, are going to help you have a more full playthrough and ensure that you experience every single thing that the Shadow of the Erdtree has to offer. For my next tip, as you probably already know, when you kill certain groups of enemies, your flasks are partially replenished. Now, this mechanic is very generous in the DLC, and enemies are tough and enemies are plentiful. So when you are low on healing items, rather than resting at a site of grace and respawning everything if you are getting low on flasks, try and remember the locations of some easy to farm camps and stray grave birds. This way you can go and farm them with minimal damage taken, hopefully. Your flasks will be at or near maximum, and then you won't have to slog through killing everything again before you continue exploring. Grave birds in particular are scattered all around the first area of the game, and just killing 2 grave birds will restore a portion of your flasks. Initially, they are quite a challenge to fight because they're so erratic, so you may be using more flasks than you are replenishing, but get good at fighting them, trust me, because they're going to keep your supplies topped up without having to use sites of grace anywhere near as often. And this is a really good thing, because it means you can explore the whole of the DLC enemy-free and really take your time combing through every area. And as we're on the topic of searching for new items and not wanting to miss a single new thing, please note that Shadow of the Erdtree is perhaps From Software's most ambitious vertically aligned set of levels I have ever seen. When I say high and low, I really mean high and low. You will see exactly what I mean when I bring out my Things You Missed series, which I strongly recommend you check out to help you through your journey in the DLC. But even just the first area, the gravesite plain, has no fewer than 5 different levels to explore. From layers of riverbed deep below the plains, to mountain tops way high up. You really have to search everywhere. And during your searching, make sure particularly that you keep an eye out for Erdtree fragments and revered spirit ashes. And also, please don't forget to use them. The DLC's tough, and both of these new mechanics will help you greatly. And as I say, if you're struggling to find every single thing, just check out my Things You Missed series. I am here to help. Before I get into the next part of the video, I would like to take a moment to talk to you about cybersecurity and also thank the partner for today's video, NordVPN. Cyber threats are everywhere nowadays, and it's something I certainly am particularly wary of in my line of work. With so many different threats out there, such as phishing scams, password attacks, the list is endless, and all form of these malicious threats are getting more and more sophisticated. That is exactly why you should head over to nordvpn.com/Dom's Roundtable and pick up NordVPN for yourself today. It is completely risk-free to try out, as it comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee, and every purchase of the 2-year plan will also receive 4 additional bonus months on top for free. This is included in every plan, so that's the standard, plus, and complete, and this means that today I am offering you the absolute best deal you can possibly get, as you can get my exclusive creator deal plus the 4 bonus months on top, which you can only get from creators. So use my link nordvpn.com/Dom's Roundtable and get it even cheaper than you would ordinarily. And finally, as you know, I don't accept partnerships on this channel if I don't believe in the product. I myself have genuinely been using Nord products for years now, including NordPass and of course NordVPN, so I strongly recommend it. It's super easy to use and I really like the UI. And if that all sounds good to you, make sure you use my link nordvpn.com/Dom's Roundtable today to get the best deal for your new favorite VPN. And with that, my friends, let's get back to the video. As I have just mentioned about revered spirit ashes, now is probably the perfect time to talk about Torrent. Along with boosting the power of your summons, revered spirit ashes also boost the power of Torrent. And this is for a reason. He is absolutely mandatory for the DLC, so make sure you start practicing your movement and your mounted combat as much as possible. So many areas are completely inexplorable without the use of Torrent's double jump. Sometimes some pretty tricky jumps are required. And as much as I am here to help show you the way, you will still need to practice using him to make sure you can actually physically get there. And on top of this, many fights not only are made easier upon Torrent, but are actually required. Especially Furnace Golems can't really be brute forced without him. I'm sure it's possible, but you are going to make it significantly harder for yourself. You kind of do need Torrent's movement and double jump ability to tackle the likes of Furnace Golems and some other enemies that I won't talk about in this video. Also, try to go into the DLC with as much item discovery as possible. Of course, there are going to be so many new weapons and armor sets to acquire, and a lot of these will be rare armor sets dropped exclusively by farming enemies. As completionists among us know from my top rarest weapons and armor videos, some of these have abysmally low drop chances. So your best bet is to run an arcane build to make your discovery as high as possible. But if you don't want to do this, you can always use items such as the Larval Tears scarab and the silver fowlfoot, and also this new silver item which works very similar to the silver fowlfoot. I haven't figured out yet whether they work in tandem or whether one is better than the other. I tend to just use my supply of one, and then once I've run out I switch over to my supply of the other. And I've been doing my best to grind out every single weapon and armor set from every single enemy I come across. So my god, is this playthrough taking me a while, but it's going to be so worth it because I will have so much awesome stuff to share with you. My next tip is to play as much of the DLC as you can at night time. This may sound counterintuitive at first because it's much harder to see things at night and you're more likely to miss things. So you may in fact want to do every area both during the day and at night. In fact, that's exactly what I'm doing so that I can try and not miss anything for you. The reason for this is Shadow of the Erdtree has a very heavy emphasis on the moon, specifically the light of the moon, and there are certain pools of light that will only appear at nighttime. And within these pools you will find very rare items. As of the time of recording this, I don't know if there are any other mechanics triggered by the light of the moon, but I'm going to assume there are. Now you may be asking yourself, well, if I know where the items are, why do I need to go there at night? Well, if the light from the moon isn't shining on this location, the item also will not be there. These items are time of day specific, and you literally can only go there and loot them at a certain time of day. And as we already know from a lore perspective, the moon plays a potentially very big role in the DLC. With the Carian royal family having a heavy presence here, and one of the first main bosses we encounter literally being called Relana, the Twin Moon. With all of these bits of information combined, I believe there may be even more hidden interactions and mechanics dictated by the time of day and the light of the moon as we progress through the DLC. Next up, as you're questing, make sure you're always on the lookout for that Spirit Ash summon symbol to pop up on the left hand side of your screen, and use your Spirit Ashes wherever and whenever you can. The new Revered Spirit Ashes buff exists for a reason. Shadow of the Erdtree is really tough, and especially if it's your first playthrough, there is absolutely no shame in having a little help from your spirit pals. Especially because we have so many new awesome spirits to try out now, and if you don't summon them and see them in combat, how will you ever know which ones are the coolest? So make sure you save up plenty of Ghost and Grave Glovewort. Don't worry, there will be even more to collect in the DLC as well. In this way, you can max out your new favourite Spirit Ashes and have them help you in almost every single fight, because you can summon them so much more frequently in the DLC than you could in the base game. As you're travelling through the areas, you will come across many groups of spectral wandering nobles, and some of them will be holding these sparkling pots above their heads. Make sure you beeline toward this enemy and kill them first. These pots indicate rare loot, and these enemies can run away and will eventually disappear if you don't chase them down, and that loot will be lost. Now, I've perhaps made this sound slightly more dramatic than it is. If you do rest, they will respawn. Don't worry, you can go and kill them again. But remember what I said earlier about wanting to rest as infrequently as possible, because there are so many enemies in the DLC, all of which can be very powerful. So ideally, you want to beeline for this new enemy type and slay them as quickly as you can, so you can grab that loot without needing to rest and respawn every single enemy in the game just to have to do it all over again. The next tip, as I've alluded to a few times in this video, is to check out my other guides, and specifically my Things You Missed series. This is what really put my channel on the map, and it's what most people know me for. Combined, I think it's had around 20 million views now, because I've been able to help millions of Elden Ring gamers collect every single rare, missable item in the game, with a few exceptions because fuck illusionary walls. But if you truly want to make sure you have gathered every single thing from the base game, I have got a video covering every single area in the game, so if there's any areas you feel like you didn't explore thoroughly, go check out my video and I can help you out there, my friends. Also, just to try and limit expectations slightly, my first pass of the Things You Missed series for Shadow of the Erdtree may not be quite as comprehensive. The last time I did this, Elden Ring had already been released, so I had the help of the community. Now I'm trying to do it literally all by myself. And as you'll see for yourself when you start to play through these areas, it is infinitely more confusing to navigate than the base game. Though I feel like I've done a pretty damn good job. So hopefully you're all just as excited for that as I am to share it with you. And the final tip, before I actually give you one sneaky little bonus tip at the end, is to save as many rune arcs and as many Larval Tears as you can. There are more Larval Tears and rune arcs in the DLC, but rune arcs specifically, there ain't that many. And ideally, you want to have the likes of Godric's or Radahn's Great Rune active at all times, or at least as often as you would like, to help you with the most important and most difficult situations. And on top of that, make sure you're stocking up on every single item you can, farm everything, so that you have every tool available to you, and so that you can craft every item you could possibly need. Be it arrows or bolts, greases or throwing pots, there are so many consumables that can help you out situationally, and you want to make sure you have all the materials ready. I tried to get around 100 of everything before I entered the DLC, which may be a bit excessive, but it really has helped me out in certain situations. And as we're talking about farming as many rune arcs as you can to make sure you've always got your great rune active, the final sneaky little bonus tip for you is to join the Knights password group. Make sure you put this in your group's password, not your multiplayer password, or it will limit the amount of people you can play with. So stick KNIGHTS, all in caps, as one of your 5 group passwords, as there are many of Dom's Knights of the Round Table all helping each other out, defeating bosses in the base game, grinding as many rune arcs as possible. Even better if you're someone who's more experienced with the game and you don't feel like you need the help but you would like to co-op with people, please join our Discord group and become a mentor. Feel free to join if you would like help as well, or if you just want to share your knowledge and advice. Everyone is welcome here. We are an ever-growing community of nearly 5,000 members now, and hopefully we can set up some really cool competitions, tournaments, and giveaways in the future as well, in true knight fashion. With that, my friends, that's my top 10 beginner tips to get you started with the Shadow of the Erdtree. If you have any questions or suggestions for what content you would like to see upon launch, let me know in the comments. And with that, my friends, all that's left for me to say is thank you so much for watching. I hope you have an amazing day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.